Google Pesky's Pest Control Montgomery. No bug will survive. Call 334-595-9055.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Pesky's Pest Control Podcast right here in Montgomery, Alabama with your hosts, Travis and Michael. We do this podcast as a community service for the river region. This includes Montgomery, Prattville, Millbrook, Wetumpka, Pike Road, Auburn, and any other surrounding areas for people just like you.
How hot has it been outside?
Can you say expletives on here?
Well, I think you could say hell on here. I mean, that's a fair one. That's a fair one.
Is the devil's armpit a good enough analogy?
Ooh.
It's been pretty warm out here the last couple weeks.
I will say some of the places I've been to have also been stinky, so that's fair. That's fair.
Well, I mean, when you are performing services and your clothes go from saturated to dry to saturated to dry over and over again multiple times, it's pretty terrible.
Yes, it is. So today we want to talk about spiders. Man, we are dealing with some just hellacious spiders. Spiders are everywhere.
Yeah, they are. And I understand that. I think you said you like spiders, right?
Man, I love spiders. Spiders are one of the most beneficial insects.
Well, I agree with you in that regard. I think that the vast majority of the population would heavily disagree with you in love of spiders, actually.
Oh, I have a really awesome video of a spider jumping out of the couch and at me as I was videoing it. So I can send that to you if you want to pop it up there real quick.
The only way I want to see that is if you screamed like a girl.
I screamed like a grown man.
No, spiders, obviously, you've got the vast majority of them being very beneficial. The vast majority of them are not venomous, and most of them don't even bite. Of course, here in Alabama, most folks, when they think of spiders, their brain automatically jumps to one of two, either being the black widow or the brown recluse. And in my encounters in pest control, the vast majority of spiders that you encounter are neither one of those two spiders.
It is so rare to see a brown recluse or a black widow. I mean, if you stick your finger in a hose pipe or a crack or crevice outside, or just start picking up logs without gloves on, you're probably going to meet a brown recluse or a black widow. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a wolf spider. Excuse me, I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, but I think most people automatically put spiders into this dangerous box. Now, granted, there's a kind of a funny story. When I was a teenager, still living at home with my parents, our house had always had this like darker colored brown carpet.
So it didn't show stains.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. But it always had this dark brown carpet. And of course, what color is a wolf spider? Dark brown with black on it, so they blended really well. And I remember there was one evening where I had went into my bedroom and walked into the doorway and turned the light on. And there was this massive wolf spider standing essentially in the doorway. And of course, I think I scared the wolf spider just as much as the wolf spider kind of scared me and startled me, because I wasn't expecting there to be this massive spider. And so when I turned the light on, the spider came running directly at my feet, which I didn't have any shoes on or anything. And so I picked up, kind of jumped, picked up my foot, and the spider's still running towards me. And when my right foot came down, the foot came down right directly on top of the spider. And of course, I came down on the floor and then immediately picked my foot back up. Well, the spider had actually curled up and went underneath the little gap between my toe and the beginning of my actual part of my foot in that little, raised area where your toes are. And he
They are
balled up.
survivors. They are survivors.
They did. So he balled up. And then as soon as I picked my foot back up, he popped his legs out and scurried off. And of course, then I hunted him down with a vengeance and killed him. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm a huge spider fan. About the only spider that I actually am kind of fascinated with and will actually usually let live. I really like the garden spiders, the garden spiders,
the orb weavers and stuff.
The orb weavers are, in my opinion, kind of annoying. They're usually going to attach themselves up in a corner on the side of the house, come out at night, make this ginormous web, and then go and hide during the daytime.
But they're beautiful.
They are, but they make a mess on the side of your house, which I'm not real thrilled with.
They do. Let's talk about that for a minute. So they make a mess on the side of your house. They build a big web, right?
Yeah, every night.
And that protects against what?
Insects.
Every single flying insect.
Yes. Yeah, anyway. and you're right. So spiders in that regard are of course very beneficial. Obviously, they have a purpose in the world for sure. Whether or not most people agree with that, that's a totally different story. So
and that's kind of what this talk was about. I mean, we remove spider webs around the house. It's more of a vanity thing, I would say. Most people do not want spider webs around the house. However, with the 105-degree heat, we've had extra spider webs around people's houses.
Right. I understand they make a mess. Of course, they're being, more opportunist. They're finding a place where bugs are going to frequent, whether that's close to an exterior light. It's going to attract bugs that they can catch and subsequently eat after that. So they're being opportunist. I do totally agree that they have their place in nature. I mean, you could look at a lot of insects. Take termites, for example. I mean, in nature, termites have a very important job. We just don't want them in our house, eating our house. They need to break down old decaying wood and return it to the soil and all those good things. The one I don't understand is a mosquito, but that's a totally different topic. We won't dive off into that one. I still don't understand the point and purpose
of a mosquito.
Yes,
I mean, bats love them.
I understand, but if there's one insect that exists only to feed bats, I think we can do without them. Bats eat a lot of other things too.
I mean, getting way off topic, but don't bat guano and everything. Isn't that a pretty helpful thing for the whole food chain? I think it's like you go in the primordial soup, you step on a flower, and everything's different when you get back. So you have to be careful on what you wish is gone and here.
But no, I mean, spiders are going to be opportunistic, whether they're a spider that builds these big elaborate webs, like you said, the orb weavers, or here in Alabama, over the last several weeks, we've really had an uptick in what, people call the banana spiders, that you're inadvertently going to walk face first into their web. And, they're like this big, they're gigantic and of course the webs are really, really strong and sticky. So it takes forever to try to peel it off your face. And, if you haven't had a heart condition up to that point in your life, you will have a heart condition because, having a spider that big in your face is probably not going to be a comfort zone for most people. But, some of the other ones, like we were talking about wolf spiders, especially if you don't have your weather stripping towards the bottom of your door sealed up really well, they'll sneak right through those little gaps, cracks, and crevices and get in. The really fun thing about the wolf spiders being, that they tote their babies on their back, and that can be kind of unsightly too.
Especially when you squish them.
Yeah, because you think you've done this good thing, you've squished this big, nasty looking spider, and then all of a sudden, little teeny tiny babies go crawling everywhere, and then it's just like a big stomping spree all over the place until you feel like the floor is not moving anymore. So yeah, but I mean, people need to understand too that infestations of spiders are not are not really all that common. I think, Michael, you've dealt with some brown recluse infestations before in some houses. I mean, am I incorrect there?
I think in 10 years, I've done serious brown recluse infestations, maybe 10 or 20.
Yeah,
And black widow. I've never seen a black widow infestation. I've seen a brown widow infestation. I think you have too.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I have seen some pretty significant, mainly around the exterior of the house, but I have seen some pretty significant brown widow issues. Had a house in particular that I counted roughly 60 to 70 brown widows that I killed around the outside of the house, between just being on the exterior of the structure itself, being on furniture on the back porch. And that was pretty significant. But I think the 3 months later, at the next quarterly treatment, I came back and I think I found 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had one out in Atala. We still service him, and I was doing a termite inspection, and it was built with cinder blocks, and every cinder block had a brown brown widow in it.
Well, the brown widows are like this, I guess, kind of offshoot of the black widow. They're not nearly as poisonous or anything like that. It's probably going to be painful if they bite you, but I don't think it's going to be one of those things where it likely sends you to the hospital like a black widow probably would. But they're terrible at hiding. I always said, like, the brown widow, I think, is the black widow's really dumb cousin that doesn't, pick great hiding spots, because a black widow genuinely, I feel like, does not most of the time want to be found.
No, that's why
the brown widow will literally, like, weave this little web, like, right there in your face, and like trying to hide in plain sight. They're just not great at that.
Yeah, I mean, a black widow bite, that it all comes from just sticking your hand in a crack or crevice that one's in, and it's biting you out of fear.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of the time, they, like I said, they don't want to be found, especially brown recluse too. I mean, the vast majority of the population could probably count on one hand, maybe, how many times they've seen a genuine brown recluse in their life that was actually that spider and not a confused breed, mistaking a wolf spider or a southern house spider or something like that for a brown recluse instead.
Well, and I'm sure other states and stuff like that, and even other cities, but here in Birmingham, the Birmingham metro, I mean, I don't see many brown recluse.
Right. So let's talk a little for just a second. What are some things that customers themselves at their properties can do? Obviously, these are, we look at them like wild animals, but wild insects, if you will. They're not going to abide by a rule that we set or anything. But what are some things that customers can do to attempt to either, lessen the pressure that spiders put on their house, or lessen the activity that spiders, have around the outside of their house, and then subsequently getting inside their house?
So step one, do not buy a lake house.
Absolutely. Your docks, your exterior of your house is going to be covered.
There's not a, just joking aside, but there's not a single lake house that we don't see that it's you can move it, you can de-web it, you can spray it, you can treat it. A week later, they're right back, because you have so many flying insects around those lake houses. And they just kind of become part of the house.
Yeah. Like I said, they're acting as nature.
The decoration.
Yeah. If you're ready for Halloween and, but they're acting as nature intended them to act. I mean, they're trying to survive, and they're, trying to lessen the insect population. But another one that comes to mind for myself, and this can be pretty prevalent in the lake houses, but just houses in general, is the use of exterior lighting on your house.
Oh, that's a big one. That's for any roaches, any kind of a nocturnal type of flying insect is going to come towards your house. I mean, termites. You see it in Louisiana all the time. These termites are just swarming these lights.
Absolutely. So we highly advise people, because I think, Michael, you could probably say this too. but people who leave their exterior lighting on their house all evening, all night long, through the night into the morning time, you're going to have a significant amount of pest pressure and spider pressure, more than you would if you turned them off. Now,
100%.
there's going to be some things you can't prevent. For example, light that bleeds through the window to the outside of your house at night. I mean, obviously you can put up blinds and curtains and try to minimize that. But ultimately it's going to be hard to prevent any light from escaping from the inside to the outside of your house. But ensuring that your floodlights and your different light fixtures on the outside of your house, your porch lights, those types of things are turned off is going to probably be a pretty big help in lessening that pest pressure on your house.
Well, and also check your windows. You know, I can't tell you how many customers will go around and see a window from the top slid down, and their window's unlocked, and they don't even know it. And I'd imagine it's because of the pressures in the home, and it's just pushing that window open a little bit. But we see it all the time. So that would be a big one too. Absolutely.
And then, of course, you know, spiders are obviously looking for things to eat. That's how they survive. So I would say limiting the amount of insect harborage areas around the outside of your house, right there directly around your house, in your flower beds and those types of areas, is probably going to also help limit the amount of spider pressure that you have, because anywhere that insects can hide, obviously spiders are kind of preying on those other insects. So anywhere that you have that these insects can hide or live and make this little insect community, if you will, it's going to be a place where a spider goes, oh, well, I'm going to go get, lunch or dinner. So I think that would be helpful too.
Well, and let's talk about, the landscape too, because if you are in Greystone, for instance, or Chelsea, a big wooded area, that's just kind of what's coming to my mind right now. Just a big wooded area, and your house is on the backside, of just this big wooded tall trees. I mean, these spiders balloon, and I've seen it. It's amazing. They'll parachute, they'll parachute right out of these trees right onto your house, and it's nature's cool way of spreading the love from house to house to tree. But
have you seen the images? I think and it may just be a sensational AI generated photo, but I think this was kind of going around before AI was really taken over. But have you seen the videos? I think from Australia. God,
it's so sad that we have to question.
I know, right? You question everything you see because half of it's not even real. But
so
have you seen the videos that people have posted of like when the spiders all come out in some of the other countries where they're just covering like everything?
Yes. You talking about Australia when the webs are just covering them?
Yeah, I do not need to go there at any point.
I feel like Australia has everything that will either kill you or just really, really irritate you.
I think that's a proven fact. I may be wrong, but I think Australia has a higher number of deadly animals and insects per square mile than like any other country.
I would love to go. I would love to go to the Northern Territory though, because that's as far off as you can get and see these 21-foot crocs and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
And I'll say this kind of in closing about the spider things. I know that people get frustrated. You may call on your pest control provider. You may go to the store and attempt to purchase something that says it eliminates spiders and all that. And it doesn't necessarily, well, let me get back up and say that you may feel like it doesn't work or that it's ineffective. But here's the reality about the spiders. So pesticides, if they contact a spider's body, they can kill a spider. But Michael, why are most pesticides ineffective against spiders based upon their biology and how they act?
Well, they're just really high off the ground.
Exactly.
I mean, it's as simple as that. So they're not getting that full contact. They're just really high off the ground. I mean, a dust is going to be the best course of action. An aerosol, something of that nature. But really treating those cracks and crevices, just like we all talk about. Back to the outside, the water, it's 105 degrees. There's water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. So wherever you've got, I mean, we're seeing it all day long, and I don't think people realize, but that little bitty what is it, 1/2-inch PVC pipe that's coming off the AC condenser, that thing is spitting out, what would you say, Travis? What would you say, 12 gallons a day or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way the weather's been right now, it's probably a lot more than that. I mean, the same reason why if you don't make sure that drain is clean, it's going to flood your, house.
Yeah. And,
Just a significant amount of condensation coming from those.
Right. So I always try to, point that out. We see it and just say, hey, kick that to a 90 or a 45 and get that as far away from your property as possible, because that's going to bring ants. That's going to bring flying insects around that area at night. That's going to bring, all types of other insects that eat other insects. And then those spiders are going to come because of the flying insects.
And that's one other thing that I like to share too with my customers, is that not only are they higher up off the ground, so they're less likely to make full contact with that product, but they also don't groom themselves.
Yes, they do. They
so,
can.
a lot of other insects, I know that's weird to say that roaches groom themselves, because we view roaches as, nasty little insects or nasty little creatures, but they do, scurry along and trek through things, specifically pesticides that are put out, and then, further damage themselves or harm themselves by grooming themselves. But spiders don't do that. So even if their little feet did cross a barrier or touch, the likelihood of them ingesting or really coming to enough product that could hurt them is going to be slim to none. So it's going to be a lot harder to be effective against spiders by just like sprays alone. That's why I'm glad you mentioned about dusts and aerosols and different tools that pest control companies have at their disposal, because sometimes just praying and spraying like some folks do is not going to be adequate to solve a spider problem.
It's funny you brought up the dust thing. Somebody put an ad out saying it was a new product, and that they didn't have to. They no longer had to spray around the house. They could just Delta dust every crack and crevice, and it was brand new product.
That's been out for years.
Hot on the market, baby. Hot on the market.
Hey, well, whatever ploy you need to sell your product, sounds a bit like someone trying to sell the wheel. Let's put these amazing new round things on our car to drive. I think pretty sure tires have been round since cars were invented back in the early 1900s. So,
Hello, and thank you for listening to another edition of the Pesky's Pest Control Podcast with your hosts, Travis and Michael. If you have any questions in reference to what we discussed today, give us a call at 334-595-9055, and you can ask for me, Travis McGowin. I'll be more than happy to speak with you. Make sure you share this podcast with your friends and family, and subscribe to us on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and any of the other major streaming platforms. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Google Pesky's Pest Control Montgomery. Number will survive. Call 334